I woke up one morning and a strange man came to my door, and he told me a wild story of how he had fled a war. He asked me if I had an extra room in a bed, and without a thought I just shook my head. And then I recalled that morning I had been down on my knees, and I was complaining and I was questioning my dear Lord for my life of ease. And he had answered, "Son, what have you been doing for the least of these?" And I stepped out the door and walked by a building in my town that I used to visit before the sickness shut it down. And I used to love to meet my brothers in this prison, but it's easy to forget them now, for behind those walls are hidden. And then I recalled that morning I had been down on my knees, and I was complaining and I was questioning my dear Lord for my life of ease. And he had answered, "Son, what have you been doing for the least of these?" And down the walk I saw my sister, who visits the sick and the dying, and helps to dry the tears that their loved ones are crying. She seemed to know each of these poor souls by name, and as I watched I was reminded of the man who cured the lame. And then I recalled that morning how I had been down on my knees, and I was complaining and I was questioning my dear Lord for my life of ease. And he had answered, "Son, what have you been doing for the least of these?" And then I ran, the sun beat down, and I saw a man needing a drink, and I gave him some water, and it made me think, maybe I should hand this half-naked man a shirt. But I only have so much to give, and it's starting to hurt. And then I recall that morning how I had been down on my knees, and I was complaining and I was questioning my dear Lord for my life of ease. And he had answered, "Son, what have you been doing for the least of these?" Mr. Hall, he followed me and he asked if I got his letter, and reminded me of the starving children we once fed together. He told me they're still hungry and asked if I had a little more to give. And I shouted that I need all this money so that I can live. And then I recalled that morning when I had been down on my knees. I was complaining and I was questioning my dear Lord for my life of ease. And he had answered, "Son, what have you been doing for the least of these?" As I got home I saw there was a fire in my barn, where I store all I have so I won't come to harm. And I cried as I watched the smoke and the fire, for I had lost all I'd spent my lifetime to acquire. And that night I recall I fell down on my knees and I complained and I questioned why I had lost my life of ease. And the Lord answered, "Son, Don't you know I care for the least of these? And in the dark, after I had lost all I had found, I had no more hope, and in despair fell to the ground, and overcame a neighbor who I once mocked and despised. And he knelt down and said something that took me by surprise. And that night, that man pulled me up off my knees, and he said, "Brother, I carry my Lord's burden with ease, and I'm here for the Son commands me to love the least of these."